Hello everyone, welcome to Learnablepro. Today we are going to discuss about rules of declaring constants in C language. Now let's see what is the first rule group in declaring the constants. So let's see what are some basic rules to declare an integer constant. So the first rule will be blanks and commas are not allowed while declaring a integer constant. So as you can see on the screen, this is the invalid declaration of integer constant. So there shouldn't be any blank space in between the numerics or alphabets which we are declaring as an integer constant. So in our case, when we take an example of Learnablepro, so Learnable and Pro should be together. It should not have any blank space in between the alphabets. Or let's consider Learnable comma Pro. So this is an invalid integer constant declaration. So the valid declaration will be Learnable Pro together. So it should not have any blank spaces or commas. Or let's take an example of numerics. So it can be 1 2 3. So it cannot be 1 2 comma 3 or 12.3. Okay. So that is the second rule. So it should not have a decimal point. Example 1.2 or 2.4. So these are some invalid declaration of integer constants. Now the third rule is integer value can be either positive or negative. So as I mentioned before, it cannot be decimal point, but it can be positive or negative value. So example will be positive 123 or minus 167. So in this case of the positive value, as you can see on the screen 123, there is no sign before the numerics or set of digits, because when we are not giving any kind of sign, it can be declared itself as a positive integer constant. So that's why there is no sign in front of this set of digits. So this can be a positive integer constant, and here we have sign of negative, so this is a negative integer constant. Now the fourth rule of integer constant is this constant must lie within the range of declared data type. So let's consider we are giving an or declaring a constant as int a is equals to 1. So the 1, which is a constant, should be in the range of integer data type. So it should not breach the range of integer data type. So this is the most important rule in declaring the integer constants. Now the fifth rule of declaring integer constants is a decimal constant must contain any combination between 0 to 9. Examples can be any digits in between 0 to 9, like 166 or 154, etc. So the rule is it must contain any combination between 0 to 9. It should not exceed the combination. Now the final rule, or the hexadecimal declaration constant rule, is a hexadecimal constant should begin with preceding 0x. So this is mandatory. If it is not having the preceding 0x, then it cannot be declared as an hexadecimal constant. Same way, octadecimal constant should begin with digit 0 or should have preceding 0. And the second rule of declaring octal constant is that it should be in between 0 to 7. So the range should be in between 0 to 7 with a preceding 0. So example can be 0 1 2 3. This can be an octal constant, but 0 1 to 9, which 1 to 9, so the last digit is not in between the 0 to 7. So this can be an invalid octal integer constant. So it should be in the range of 0 to 7, and it should have preceding 0, like 0 1 2 3 or 0 1 4 7, etc. So these types of constants can be octal constants, and anything which is not in between 0 to 7 and which is not having a preceding 0 cannot be declared as an octal constant. Now on the screen you can see some valid integer constants and invalid integer constants. So valid can be negative 976 and positive 898 or 5 or negative 25, etc. These kind of constants are valid integer constants because we have preceding signs like negative or positive, and we do not have any kind of decimal values in between the constants or point values like 1.2, etc. So these are the valid integer constants. When it comes to invalid, you can see on the screen 67.12 or 8-9 or 89,75. So these kind of constants, we have point in between or an hyphen in between or comma in between. So these kind of constants cannot be a valid integer constants. So these are invalid integer constants. Now let's see rule group number 2, that is for real constants. So the first rule is same as integer constant, so it should not contain decimal point or an exponent value, and blank spaces and commas are not allowed in real constants, because real constants and integer constants together, as explained in previous videos, these two constants together we call numerical constants. So the basic rules can be the same. So example, minus 254.175 or minus 12.34. These are some examples which are not an real constant. So we have some decimal points and yeah, so these kind of constants are not real constants. Now let's see the rule group number 3, that is second set of constant, character constants. So this is a second different type of constant. So let's see the rules of declaring character constants. A single character contain a single quote. So for example, if we are considering a character constant, a single character constant, it must be enclosed within a single quote. Example this, or single quote A. So these are some basic examples of the single character constant. This character constant is of size 1, so that's why we have only one digit inside the single quote. So that is why we are having only one digit, because the size of single character constant is 1 byte. It should not exceed that. So that is rule number 2. And this character can be of alphabets like single quote A or single quote 1 or whatever, numerics or alphabets, or sometimes even we can write some special characters like hash or ampersand in between the single quotes. So this is rule number 3 of declaring character constants, single character constant. Now, rule number 4 to declare a character constant is a string constant must be declared within double quotes. Just like single character constant is being declared with a single quote, string constant must be declared within double quotes. So you can see here example null character which have nothing inside, but it is declared inside a double quote. So this can be an example of best example or valid example of string constant. So these are some basic rules to declare a character constant. Now let's see how we can declare a constant. So we know what is a constant, and we know what are the types of constants, and we know what are some rules to declare a constant. But now let's see how to declare a constant. Variables can be declared as constants by using the const keyword. So C-O-N-S-T. Using this keyword before any data type, if you are using this keyword, which means we are declaring a constant there. So these constants will be initialized only once, and the default value of the constant will be 0, and this value will be fixed and it won't be changed anywhere in the program, even while executing the program. Const int a is equals to 10, which means we are giving a value to constant a. So this value of 10, it won't be changed anywhere in the program. So this is the first way to declare a constant. Now let's see what is the second way. Second way is to use a preprocessor directive, that is hash define. So not only using const keyword, but also using hash define preprocessor directive, we can declare an constant. So which means this preprocessor directive will declare an alias for any value. So example, hash define number 25. So this gives an alias for this value 25. So this is the second way to declare a constant. So these are some basic rules, and this is how to declare a constant. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. Thanks for joining us in learning.